There we have a really nice burbot. Hi, I'm Matt Evenson. I'm a research biologist with the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, Division of Sportfish. Today I'm going to show you how to catch burbot through the ice using set lines. We're out here on the Tanana River near Fairbanks and it's mid-December. It's a perfect time to catch burbot. So let's get started. I'll show you how this works. First, let's take a quick look at the regulations for burbot set lines. Each set must be labeled with your name and address. And you have to check each set at least once a day. You have to use single hooks with a gap between the point and shank that's larger than 3/4 of an inch. And your hooks must be set so that they rest on the bottom of the lake or river. Now you're allowed to have as many hooks out as the daily bag limit for burbot. So, for example, if the daily bag limit is 5, then you're allowed to use up to 5 hooks per day. You can attach more than one hook to a set line if you want, but I wouldn't recommend using more than 2 per line, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Of course, you want to be sure to check the regulations before you go out to find out what the daily bag limit for burbot is and to make sure that set lines are legal where you're fishing. Let's talk about a few things you'll need to bring with you. You'll need a snow shovel, an ice ladle, an ice spud or ice chipper, and a sign or tag to label your set. It's also handy to bring along a rag and an extra pair of gloves in case your hands get wet or slimy. In addition to the materials you need for your set lines, you'll need a means to cut a hole through the ice. I prefer using a gas-powered ice auger, but a handheld auger or an ice spud can be used as well. If using an ice auger, I recommend using an auger bit that's 8 inches in diameter or larger. So let's grab the shovel, clear off a couple spots, and drill some holes. Okay, so the first method I'm going to show you is what I call the strong line method. And to do this, what you need to do is cut a support stick. Now this one I'm showing you is a dimensional 2x2, and it's about 18 or 20 inches long. But you can use any kind of material, 1x. Here's an old beaver stick that would work just fine. Here's a wooden dowel. You can see they're all about the same length. Anything that's going to span across the hole that we just drilled and support the line. Now for the rope, there's a variety of things you can use as well. I like to use 1/8 inch braided nylon rope, but parachute cord or any kind of heavy-duty string that you might have will work. It's really hard to get too big with this stuff. What you want is something that's going to be durable and not break on the edge of the ice, and something that you can use over and over again. So after I drill the hole, I run my line through the center and I knot it off. And then I can wrap the line around the support stick to transport it. Now, depending on the water you're fishing, you might need anywhere from 10 to 25 feet of line. For these river applications where we're at today, I never need any more than 20 feet of line is plenty. So at the far end of the line, I tie on a lead sinker. I like to use a pretty heavy sinker, somewhere around 8 ounces or so, works really well. If you get too light a sinker, what happens is the current from the river will wash the line downstream and the line can freeze up against the side of the hole and cause problems. So a nice heavy sinker is key. So I tie it on the line about 12 to 14 inches from the end. Then I tie 2 loops into the line. And from these loops I'm going to attach my leader lines that have the hook and the bait. So the setup looks like that. So the leader lines can be problematic if you're fishing a lot of holes. They're hard to keep from tangling. So what I like to do is string them together and wrap them around a stick like this. That just keeps them organized, keeps them easy to access, and prevents them from tangling. So there's a variety of things you can do to build these leader lines too. What I like to do is get 2 stainless steel snap clips and attach them to about a 12 to 14 inch section of braided nylon trolling line. This trolling line is a 120-pound test. You want something fairly stout. Again, durability is the key, and finesse isn't really an issue with burbot fishing. So we'll go ahead and attach these to the drop line now. First we'll put one on the loop up near the sinker, and then we'll attach the second one like that. So now I just need to snap on my baits. So I like to pre-bait my hooks back at home. I chop up the bait into chunks, and then I thread them on the hook there, and then I put them in a small cooler to transport to the river. So that prevents me from getting my hands all slimy and messy when I'm out here. You can see I have a pre-baited hook ready to go, and then I just snap it right onto my leader line. I prefer using whitefish for bait, and that's what we're using today. So you can also use herring or squid or any kind of commercially available fresh fish you might be able to find. You can also use the heads and tails and viscera of any sport caught fish. It's just illegal to use the flesh. Like that. Now we're ready to drop the set down through the ice. So when I drop the set through the hole, what I like to do is start with the bait first and let that fall down through the hole, and then follow it with the weight. And I unroll the line until I feel the sinker hit the bottom. And then I wind up the slack till the sinker's just on the bottom and the line is straight up and down. And then I set the support stick on the upstream side of the hole so that as the current washes the line down a little bit, it doesn't wash it all the way to the far side of the hole and freeze on the side. So now we're ready to cover the setup with snow to insulate it to keep it from freezing overnight. I like to just cover the hole directly with snow. Some people like to cover up the hole first with a piece of cardboard or foam. But my experience with that has been that it just creates a big mess. Overnight, a lot of times there's a lot of water left over on the snow, and the cardboard or the foam will just freeze to that, and you end up peeling it off and breaking it and leaving debris all over the ice. And also I think the direct snow to water interface creates a better insulation. So I prefer to just cover the hole entirely with snow with no cardboard or foam. So I like to make a pretty good sized mound, about 2 feet high and about 2 to 3 feet in diameter around the hole. The more the better. All it can do is provide more insulation. I also like to use dry snow away from the hole. There's a lot of water that comes up off of the auger right near the hole, and I prefer to cover the hole with nice dry snow so it doesn't freeze and it's easier to clear off the next day. Okay, so there we have our hole covered with a good mound of fresh dry snow. The last thing we have to do is label our set. So what I like to do is break off a willow stick from nearby bank and stick it right in the mound of snow. And then I've made up some pre-labeled laminated name tags that I'm going to tie to the stick. Now you can write your name and address on a piece of flagging tape or a small piece of wood or a piece of cardboard, whatever you've got. So now we're ready to let it set overnight, and we'll come back and see what we've got tomorrow. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to set a pole set. Strong pole set, we call this. What I've got is a 6 to 8 foot section of spruce pole. If you're fishing in deeper water, you might need a little longer pole than this, but for this application we're not in very deep water and the ice isn't very thick, so 6 or 8 feet works just fine. So at the bottom end of the pole, I've tied on about a 14 to 16 inch piece of parachute cord, and I've tied 2 loops in it. Now you could use the braided nylon rope here too, it doesn't matter. The idea is that it's a fairly stout line here. So I clip 1 leader on the loop nearest to the pole and 1 leader on the loop at the end. Like that. So now I can just take the bait and the hook, clip it right on the other snap swivel on my leader. So it looks like that. And again, I don't like to use any more than 2 pieces of bait per set. If you get much more than that on, you have problems with tangling and the lines breaking off and things like that. So I would stick to 1 or 2 leader lines per set. Now, I'll put the bait into the hole first, let it sink down, and I'll follow it with the pole until the pole hits the bottom. Lean it up against the side like that. So now we just have to cover the hole with snow and put our label on again like we did before. see, it's starting to get dark out, so maybe we ought to pack our things up and head for home, and we'll come back tomorrow and see what we've got. Okay, so we're back the next day. We're going to check our pole set now. When I check my sets, I like to bring a forked stick with me, about 3 or 4 feet long. And what I do with this is oftentimes when you bring up a line that doesn't have a fish on it, the current will swing the line down and the hook will get caught on the underside of the ice. And it's hard to get out without sticking your arm down there, which you don't want to do. So I take this stick and I slide it down the line until I get to the hook. I can push it off the bottom of the ice, move it over, and then pull it up through the hole. So this is a real handy item. I suggest bringing one with you. Okay, so first I'll shovel the snow off from it's covering the hole. Then we'll take our ice chipper and we'll clean off a little bit of the ice that's formed around the edge of the top of the hole. This is one advantage of using the strong pole set, is that I don't have to worry about chipping the line with my spud. I can get pretty aggressive with chipping ice out and not worry about breaking the line. And now I'm ready to pull up the pole and see what we've got. I want to pull it up real gently in case there's a fish on. I don't want to get him caught on the bottom side. But this time we came up empty. So if we want to reset this set, we can unclip the baits and grab a new one from our bait cooler and clip it on. After the bait's been in the water overnight, its effectiveness decreases pretty dramatically. It's always better to change your baits every day if you can. Okay, well, let's check another one. Let's see if we have any luck here. Here's our name tag and marker branch. Here's our set stick. You can see this has stayed insulated pretty well all night. There's not much ice. Now I just take my spud and I carefully chip around the edge. I want to make sure I don't nick my drop line and cut it. Okay, so we want to try to pull this up as straight and slowly as we can. And I feel that there's a fish on there. So what I want to do is coax him up into the column of the hole so that the other hook, if it doesn't have anything on it, doesn't get snagged on the bottom side of the ice. So once I see that he's in the hole, I just want to pull him straight up. And look at that, there's a very nice Tanana River Burbot. He's probably about 7 pounds or so. Okay, so we're going to take him off. We're going to take him off of the drop line. So this is where the snap clips come in real handy. We can just unhook the leader from the drop line. We don't have to worry about digging the hook out of the fish's mouth. We can do that at home. And then if I want to reset this, I can simply snap on another leader with a new baited hook and put it down the hole. So we want to dispatch our fish and then put him in a plastic bag or a cooler to transport him home. There we go, success today. Okay, so we had a pretty good haul of burbot today. We're going to take these home now and clean them up and cook them. And maybe we'll see you out on the ice here sometime this winter. I hope you can get out and enjoy it. It's a real fun winter activity to do. It's a good way to get out and enjoy the great outdoors. Good fishing.